Hi guys, this is Loai with you, and this is your first section where you will start learning more about After Effects, about keyframes, and about layers and how to work a certain project. Now, in this section, our aim is to create a video or produce your first video. So to do that, we need to create a motion graphic project. You will learn how to create the project, how to design it, how to animate it, how to sequence the layers. And the first one that we'll focus on is this project. It's very simple, but you will learn about keyframes, you will learn about the position transformation, how to cascade or sequence your layers. We will move on to create a full project that is useful. This is a kind of brochure. And you will learn more here about the rotation, the scaling, the opacity, how to put your characters, how to choose your colors, and how to choose your text. So there is a lot of learning in this section. At the end, we will move on to create your first challenge. So this is the challenge I'm proposing. It is not hard because by the end of this section, you will be really capable of creating good projects. And this challenge, I will show you how to do it later on. This is the last lecture. But our aim here is to create projects, that is motion graphics, use keyframes, layers, and so on, and then produce your first video. So at the end of this section, you will be able to create the projects, do all kinds of animations that you want, of course, with the limitation of beginners, and produce your video that you can start uploading on your website or YouTube and showing off. So let's dive in this section, and I hope you get a lot of fun. Remember to ask all the questions that you want to ask during this section. Hi guys, this is Loai with you from aeschoolonline.com, and I want you to benefit the maximum from this course. So please ask all the questions that you have, put them in the Q&A section of the dashboard of this course. Now in this lecture, what you want to do is to look at the interface of After Effects. And it's pretty easy, by the way. This is the CC 2015 version 2, the latest version. If you want to see it, it's I think about After Effects. So it's 13.7 in fact. This is version 2 of the 2015 or the release 2. If you look at it carefully, there is not much into it, but there are so many small things all around the place. First of all, if you look at your right, they changed the way they do the menu, and now the menu is like a pull-down menu for each panel you have put here. You know, this is a panel, if you notice, the preview panel. This is the effect panel here, and this is the character panel, for example, and so on. To create a menu like this is very easy. Just come to Window here and choose the one that you want. You see, the one that I want are ticked here. Tools, for example, you can find tools. This is the tools bar. The preview, you can find the preview over here. Paragraph is over here. Now, info, preview, effects and presets, character, paragraph, and align are very important that you have them here for motion graphic. And I will be using a lot of the align, for example, and of course, character. Now, to make your menu like this, just select any one of them from here and come to panel group setting and use stacked panel group and solo panel in stack, meaning they don't open two of them, only one will open. Now this is very fit if you're using a notebook, a small screen, or a laptop where you don't have 1920 by 1080 or 27 inches screen. I always use this screen for my courses because this is the general one that is used. I can use my 27-inch monitor or 28-inch monitor, in fact, then all these here details will be very small for you to see. So I prefer this one. It's quite humble, I would say. Now this side is always the auxiliary panels that you will be using now and then. You can add, for example, the metadata, for example, here, and you can take the metadata and just drop it, you know, inside the menu. It will be like one of these menus. For example, to close it, you just right click or click on this menu here, the three bars, and say close panel. You can come and find another one. For example, we have effects and preset, but it's not showing. Let's say motion sketch. Motion sketch will come here, and in this case it is setting itself within the menu. So I can just take it and, you know, drag it or close the panel. I can also drag this one to put it up and down or something like this. You can also reorder them. For example, this one, you can take it up or down, something like this. And let's You want to keep it in the middle, of course. So this right side, you always have auxiliary panels, and they will help you to achieve certain work. This is the composition viewer panel. So composition viewers, this is where you're gonna draw, see your movies, see how your animation is happening. You view things in this composition panel. So here you have your project panel, which is very important because it will list for you all the images, the files, the AE files that you have put here, even the videos, everything, and your new compositions that you have created, for example, and solid layers that you will put here. Everything I'm talking about, you will see it. So then you have here the timeline, very important. The timeline is linked directly to the composition. You notice there is time here, and there will be time here, and this is the time here. But then you have here, the most important is your toolbar. This is a menu. If I dare taking it out, it's not moving for me now. Here it is. This is a panel that is the toolbar. You can just take it, click on it, and drag it and put it just on top, and it will sit here. You can just put it on the side if you want, but here usually is the place. So on the right, you have the auxiliary panels, the composition viewer, the composition timeline linked together. We'll see this in detail. I just want to bring this to your attention. Your project panel. Of course, you can add many other windows and so on, but you know, like Wiggler, you want the Wiggler, you just click on it, you get it here, you finish from it, just close it, don't keep it. So this is about the interface. You have the right, the composition viewer, the project panel, and the timeline, and your toolbar here. I'm repeating myself, but it's really pretty easy. And in the next lecture, you will learn how to create a new composition and start animating. Thanks for listening. See you in the next lecture. Hi guys, this is Luai with you again from aeschoolonline.com. Hopefully you enjoyed the lectures before this one, and I hope when review time comes, you give it a 5-star. And I hope you don't mind my accent. I've been working in United Nations for many years, and I picked accents from almost all over the world. I really don't know which accent I'm using now. Now, in this lecture, we want to understand about composition, or we want to create our first composition. A composition will contain all your layers and will contain all the manipulation of this layer in the timeline. So your layers will be listed here, and the manipulation through keyframes and frames will be, shown on this side. We will see that in detail. You notice that the toolbar here, everything is shaded out. I cannot use any tool. This is because to be able to use any tool or to create a layer, you need to be in a composition. So we need to create a composition. Let's create our first composition. There are many ways to create the composition. The first one is to come to composition, and you have new composition here, or use Ctrl-N. Second one is to click on your project and then right click and choose new composition. And the best one, that's the one I like very much, is click on this button here and say create composition. I will do that. Now you have the composition dialog box. You have the composition name, you can change it. Of course, don't leave it to comp 1. Then you have the basic parameters here you can adjust, or the advanced one. We'll see that later on in the course. Let's stick to basic for now. You have the preset, and you have the width and the height. Of course, if you don't use the preset, you can set your width and height and all these parameters. Let's see what we have inside the preset. If you click, you have many options, from the web videos to TVs. These will create very nice web movies, and you have up to 4K in CC 2015 and 2K, very high resolution, of course, mainly for the TVs. Now, in our case here, we are doing motion graphics for web design, or to display them on YouTube and for the web. My favorite presets are the HDTV 720 and the HDTV 1080 25 frames per second. I will not use 29.97 because it will mess up my calculation. And actually, when you're putting on the web, there is no need to use 29.97, which is very common, by the way. So let's use 720 by 25. We have these parameters for the 720 by 25. The width is 1280. The height is 720 pixels. That's what you call 720p. Keep the square pixels always. Otherwise, if you change them, it's mainly directed towards TVs and not web graphic, and it will do some complications for you. Frame rates, let's keep it at 25, and the most important here is the time. You notice here I have 5 seconds at base 25. To change the time, for example, if you want 10 seconds, you will write 10 point, or if you want 25, you can write 25 seconds and 00. That will make 25 seconds. Do you notice it has changed here? For now, we want to choose 5 seconds. I can write 5 and period or dot. Choose the background color. I will leave it to black, but you can change it to anything you want. And click OK. Now we have created our first composition. Notice the composition appeared in 3 places. First, in the composition viewer. The background here did not appear as black because I'm using the transparency. If I toggle transparency, it will go back to the composition background color, which is black. And then it appeared in the timeline. It opened in the timeline. And of course, it created the new composition in our project panel. You see how the project panel is operating. But let's say you want to change these parameters. You don't like the name to be comp1 and you want to change, for example, the time. What you do, you can come to the timeline, right click on the name of the comp and go to composition setting. That's one way. The other way is to click on your composition in the project panel and then right click and say composition setting. For example, I will use this one. Let's change the name to first comp. And that's all we want to change here. We will not change the duration. We click OK. And we have our first composition called first comp. So this is the way to create a composition and to change the parameters of a composition or the timing or the name of a composition. Another way to change the name of a composition is just to click, choose it inside the project panel, press enter, and you can write a new name. For example, click out and you have a new name. Notice that it changed the new name in the timeline. So now that we created a new composition, you notice that the toolbar here, they are all highlighted and we can start using them. In the next lecture, we will start creating some shapes and some text and start animating and creating a motion graphic movie. I'll see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, I'm Loai with you in the new lecture. And in this lecture, what you want to do is to explore shape layers and how to create shapes and how to use certain modifier keys. In the previous lecture, I showed you how to create a composition. I hope you still have it. If not, just create a new composition so we can create some shape layers. I will put it here fit to 100% so we can see everything. To create a shape layer, you come to the shape here in your toolbar and you can long click and a small menu will open here. You can see the different shapes that you can create. Let's choose a rounded rectangle tool. The corners are rounded. So you click and drag and you see that you have created a shape that is a rectangle and it has rounded corners. Now I will release here and explain to you that as soon as you created a shape, you release the mouse button, a shape layer has been created that has a content, and inside the content there is a rectangle. So this rectangle is inside the shape layer, inside the content. That's very important because now we can have other shapes inside the contents here. You will see that in the section of creating complex shapes. Fine, I will delete the shape layer. Now you notice when you choose the shape tool, some other options will appear here. For example, if you are in text tool, they will go away. Choose the shape tool and you have the tool create shape or tool create masks. We'll see about this later. And you have the fill option, the stroke and the stroke width. So you can come and adjust these before you start creating your shape, or you can create your shape and go to, for example, the word fill. And you have several options here. You want no fill at all, you want a solid fill or a linear gradient fill, or maybe you want a radial gradient. So your choice here for what you want. I will cancel this one. You can also come to the color and of course change the color to anything you want and decide this is the color you want and then click OK. I'll just click cancel here. You can come also to the stroke word and then you have the same options to have no stroke at all, or a solid stroke, or a linear gradient stroke, or radial gradient stroke, and you need to adjust it. It takes a lot of work with the radial to be really quite good. So I will just cancel here. Also, you can adjust the width of the stroke itself. You can make it bigger, smaller, the way you want. You notice how the stroke works. Half of it, for example, this is 90, so 45 is outside the limits of the layer, and 45 is inside the limits of the layer. This is very important to note. So the stroke is divided, it's not totally outside or totally inside. I'll put it back to 5, and I will delete this rectangle to start showing you how to use the modifier keys. Let's take the rounded rectangle again, click and drag. We opened a rectangle. Before you release the mouse button, you can use the up arrow to increase the roundness of the corners, or the down arrow to decrease the roundness. That's very fine. Also, you can use the right arrow to have full roundness of the rectangle, for the rectangle, of course, and you can use the left arrow to have no roundness at all. So you can switch in between and decide exactly how you want the roundness. An important key here is the space bar. If you press space bar, then you can move your rectangle and put it anywhere you want, very precisely. That's one that is very important. If you want your rectangle to be a square with, the two sides to be equal, then you press shift and the sides of your rectangle will be equal. And that will be a square now with rounded corners. Now, you notice that I started clicking here and dragging out. If I click and press Ctrl and drag out, the center of the rectangle will be my first click. You notice I clicked here, then I open. This is how to create, a rectangle with a center that you know exactly where you want to put. Of course, if you press the shift, now they are equal sided and the center is your first click. You press the space bar and you can move it anywhere you want. Okay, cool. So these are the modifier keys for a rounded rectangle. Let's delete our rounded rectangle and create other shapes. Now, let's go and create, for example, an ellipse. If you click and drag, the ellipse will start from the corner. If you wanted to start from the center, meaning where you have clicked, you press Ctrl and it will open up. Pressing Shift will make it a perfect circle. Now, the other modifier keys, only the spacebar will work here. The left, up, and down arrows will not work. There is nothing to work on. Fine. Now, let's move on. Let's go create another shape. For example, we take a polygon. If you click on the polygon and drag, you will have the initial polygon. This is the preset. And you see it's scaling up and at the same time rotating with the mouse. If you don't want to rotate it at all, it's annoying you can press Shift and scale it up and down only. Now, if you press Ctrl here, it doesn't do anything. The amusing thing here, you have the up arrow that will give you more sides or corners, and you have the down arrow that will give you less. This is the way to make a rectangle, for example, to draw a polygon and make it 3 sides. Now, another nice key is the right arrow. If you press, it will start to poker or bloat, one of these. I really don't know which one, but nevertheless, it'll give you a nice shapes and so on. If you press the left key, now you notice it's going down and it's gonna go and create a more interesting shape. For example, you can increase the number of corners, increase the pokering or bloating, and you have a very interesting shape here that you can use. Fine, let's move on, and we will create a new shape now. Let's investigate or explore the star. If you click and drag out, of course, all of them are starting from the first click. That's the center. Then you have your star, of course, is sizing and turning at the same time. Now, the control key has a nice function here. You have the inner radius and the outer radius. If you press Control, you will be increasing the outer radius or increasing the spikes. So you release the control and then you can reduce, then press Control again and you have, a starfish. Cool. If you press the Shift now, it will not move anymore. It will not rotate, in fact. Okay. Now, using the up arrow, you will add spikes if you want, or corners, the way you want it. And the down arrow, of course, will reduce them. If you press on the right, it will poker it or bloat it, one of these, the one that you like, or This one will make it, you know, some interesting shapes here, right? So it's up to you to create a very nice shape. Now, after you created your last shape, what will happen, the next shape you will create will be similar to the last shape that you have created. Sometimes you don't want to do that. What you can do to reset is pretty easy, by the way. You will come to the star, for example, and double click. The original shape or the factory set shape will appear. Now, after that, every other star that you draw will be, you know, identical to this one, the original one. Fine, you can do also the same for the polygon here, and you can come, you double click on the polygon, and here you are, you created a polygon which is set to factory defaults. Fine, let's delete all this. Now, create a rectangle now, and I want you to notice about the anchor point. Click on the rectangle, click and drag, here we are. Now you notice in the middle here, you have this shape like a circle with some, you know, arrows coming out. This is the anchor point of the layer. If you select the layer, this is the anchor point of the layer. This anchor point is used to scale or to rotate. For example, if you take your rotation tool here, you can choose it from the menu or press W. You can come to your rectangle and rotate it. You can decide how to rotate. If you press shift, then it will, you know, snap to 45 degrees, which is pretty convenient, by the way, when you're doing animations. Okay, you can decide like, okay, I don't want that. I want to rotate around this corner here. So you'll take the pan behind tool and move it, you know, to any corner. Now, why it's snapping? Because I use the snapping, and you can snap it anywhere you want on the corner. If you don't use snapping, you can freely move it anywhere you want, and you can lose control also. Let's take snapping and put it on this corner. Cool. Now you take your rotation tool, and if you rotate, you see that is rotating on the anchor point. Now it's important to notice this is the anchor point for the shape layer. Now if I come to rectangle here, you notice that these small squares here have changed. These are the delimiters, and the anchor point size has become smaller. Now I'm rotating the shape itself, not the layer. Okay, if you have two shapes, you will notice the difference, but for now you will be rotating the shape. So when you have these white rectangles here, you'll be rotating the shape. When you have the blue rectangles out, you will be rotating the layer. If you come to the shape here, you can also change the anchor point. It's very nice. Let's put it here and decide to rotate it, for example, this way or the other way, anywhere you want. Now this is how to create shapes. It's very easy, very simple. It's not complicated, but there are very many modifier keys. What I would like you to do is to go to After Effects. I hope you're there already, and try to use the modifier keys, try to play around, create all the shapes that you want to create. It's very interesting that you learn how to create shapes the way you want. We are going to use text and shape to create animations. Thank you very much for listening. This is Loai with you, and I see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, this is Loai with you from aeschoolonline.com, and I'm very excited to have you in this lecture because this is the final lecture where I keep on talking about text and shapes and really start to make animations in the next lecture. To add text in your composition, use the text tool inside your toolbar. So if you click on text tool, if you long click, you find out you have horizontal type tool and vertical. So you can type text this way or this way. We'll stick to horizontal for now. And it's important that you have character and paragraph panels open or inside your main area or your main panel on the right side here. If you don't, come to menu and choose paragraph or character. Make sure they are both ticked. They will come over here and you can see them. Also notice you have auto open panels, meaning if I choose text, it's gonna open this panel. Actually, it won't open it now because it's already there. But if it wasn't there, if I click on this one, click on text, it will come over here. So the first option to create text is to double click on the text tool. I'll double click and the cursor comes. This is the editing cursor for text in the middle of the screen. I can right now, I can start typing, say motion graphics. Pretty easy, huh? Then after I type, you notice I am still in the edit mode. Look, notice my cursor inside it is the edit mode for text, this cursor. If I go out now, it's the move mode for text also. Let's choose the selection tool, and I can move my text anywhere I want in the screen. Fine. Now, if while choosing the layer, I'll choose the text tool, you notice that the cursor has changed. If it is above the layer, it is trying to tell you we are in edit mode, you can click and edit. If you are outside, it's telling you we are ready to click and add text. You can click and add text. Okay. Now, also you come back to the selection tool. Let's delete this one. And we choose text and we double click. For example, we can choose a word. If I, for example, I double click on motion graphic altogether, you see I double click on the layer, then it will select all the text. I can start typing again, let's say motion graphics, for example. That's fine. Okay, I'll choose the selection tool. Now notice I'm going to the menu to choose the selection tool, because if I use V, it'll just type V here. Let's open the character panel and see what we have. Now I have reset the character panel here. I said reset character panel. I will reset it again. Notice how the text became very small because it's 36. I'll make it 100 like the way it was. In the character panel, you have very many options and they are all very useful. Get used to them. The first option is, of course, to change the font. You can choose any font that you want. Here, for example, let's take Verdena, and it can be regular, bold, italic, whatever you need. For example, here you can choose your font. Obviously, this is normal procedure. I'm sure you already know them. Now, if I can change the size of the font here, you can come and change the size. Now, it's very important that when you are setting your font for the first time, you change the size from here, please. Do not come over here and start stretching like this. You are not changing the font. You are manipulating the layer. In fact, you are scaling the layer. This is scaling down the layer, up, and so on, and it's not recommended at all, because you have entered many animations inside the layer. We'll see about this in detail later on. I will undo. So always size your type from here, from the tool, the character tool. Okay, you can also increase the tracking and decrease it. These are normal operations. You can have an increase, a vertical scaling. For example, you make it big like this, whatever, and you can have stretch it up and down. You notice I'm working on the font, not the layer. Okay, let's undo all this. Then there are these options here, which I like very much. This is a faux bold. You will use faux bold when your font doesn't have any bold. But also, you can add some bold to your character here. See, you're adding more bold. Okay, you have the italic, you have the uppercase, you have the small caps, okay, and superscript and subscript, of course. I will remove these ones. I will move the italic. Now, what I can do is to come to the layer, double click and choose a word, for example, or several characters. I can come and change the colors. Let's take them to blue so you can see them nicely. Okay, and also I can change the size here for just this portion that I selected. I can select the M and make it even bigger. You know, you're working in motion graphic and you're gonna do a lot of these things. Then you notice here the spacing is too big, so I can come to the tracking and make it smaller so it touches, for example. And here I want this one smaller, for example, the tracking in between. Cool. So it depends on what you want to do. So we're still in the edit mode. Notice how the cursor is moving from a move mode to an edit mode here. So you can do all this manipulation, place your text anywhere you want, okay, to be able to set your text. Usually what happens is you are going to set your text, for example, something like this. Let's select them all, go to paragraph and put them on the left, okay. Go to the cursor, let's put it here. Now go back to the character and, you know, take it down. This is the leading. Okay, fine. Something like this. And you will adjust it the way you want. Now let's double click on graphics only. So we're choosing the word graphic and let's go give it some stroke color. You can add some stroke color here. You can make it white, for example. You can see it and you can make it a bit bigger. Okay, so that's how you add the stroke. There are very many manipulations of the stroke and we will go through them. The stroke is important because it can cover your characters and you really can animate the stroke in After Effects. So this is all about creating text. I don't know if I forgot anything or there is more to do, but during our work you will learn a lot about how to set your text on the screen, how to use this panel, how to use the paragraph panel, and how to use the leading if you want, and everything that you want to do. Another thing I would like to show you is the paragraph. You click and then you choose your text tool and you click and drag. Now you have a paragraph text here. So you're really having a paragraph text. It's like in the word processing now, something like this. Okay, character, we can make it smaller. I chose everything. The spacing here, the leading, you can make it smaller. Okay, there is a mistake. I can come and click paragraph. Okay, you can make it bigger if you want. And of course, it has taken the last attribute I used here. You can cancel the stroke. Cool. And of course you can cancel the leading here is too high, something like this. So when you're animating paragraph, it will be very interesting because we'll use per character animation, where we can use lines, animating words, or animating character by character. Per character animation is a whole section that you have further on in the course, and you can go through it, and you can do with it, you know, some fantastic and awesome animation, which I love very much. There is a whole mini course about it in this same course. So now you learned how to use this character setting on the screen and how to create character. Let's see what we have here in the layer. If you twirl down the layer, you will have text and you have transform. Now I will start telling you that this transform is for the layer, and whatever is the text, remember in shapes we had content. If you twirl down text, I have source text, I have path options and more options. We will go through each one of them to make sure your text is animated on screen in superb ways that you will have admirers looking at your videos. Please go to After Effects and start playing around with text. Start creating your own mood. Start creating your own style. You know, I put the M big, the motion is small, graphic, I gave it an outline. So you want to do your own style. You really want to manipulate this, try to find out everything about it. It's pretty easy now that you know it. And I'm really here to help you. If you have any question, please ask me in the Q&A and I will be very happy to answer you. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next lecture. This is Loai with you again. Hope you're getting the most benefit in this course. Hi guys, this is Loai with you. Now, if you have any questions, please post them in the section of question and answer on the dashboard of this course. I will answer them all. Even if your questions are not related to this specific lecture, you can still post them, and I will be very happy to help you to really become the expert you want to be in Adobe After Effects. And I'm very excited to have you with me, and I'm also very excited to start teaching you how to animate, because this is when all the fun will start. This is when you get excitement. Now we know how to create text and we know how to create shapes. We want to put that knowledge in motion. The first thing I would like you to do is to open project 1, the one that you have downloaded in the beginning. Please come to File, go to Open Project, and navigate where you unzipped all the files for this course, and you say Project 1. You choose Project 1 and click Open. Here, if you don't have the file, if you don't have this project, if you didn't download, it's okay, you can still follow up with me. So let me show you what we are going to do and what kind of animations we are going to create and the learning experience that you will gain. Now, maybe the animations are not super, you know, completely awesome that can startle everybody. But the basic here is for us to understand how to create animations, how to arrange, for example, our layers, and how to create bigger projects that will allow us to understand how projects are structured and constructed in After Effects. I know that you have seen maybe many movies and videos on YouTube and so on, but you know, it is important to know how to structure your project, because this is where the challenge starts. Most of the time when you create a project or you create an animation, the client will come back to me and tell me, okay, I want this change and this change and this change. If you don't structure your project, then you cannot do these changes. It will take you hours and you will give up, and you can't make money out of it, or you will find it like it's very dull. I have to redo everything. So we are going to learn these things. We are going to learn how to create animations, how to use keyframes, how to manipulate our layers on the timeline, and stories like this. Fine. So let's first of all close all these compositions. To close them all, you can just click on the X on each one of them. But there is a better way. You can come to composition, and there is startup here, for example. You click on startup and you say close all, or you can close all the other composition except startup. I will click on close all. Fine, they're all gone. I will create now a new composition. I will right click and say new composition. I will use 1280 by 720, 25 frames. 5 seconds will do for now. Let's keep the background to black. It's okay. Fine, this is done. Now, what I want to do is to put some text. How do we put text? We did that in the beginning. I'm gonna come to my character here. I have chosen the Roboto, is okay. The size of the font is 60. I don't want any stretching or scaling. I will put 100 here. That's cool. And I will double click on text and write simple motion graphics. That's cool. Now I have chosen my text. There is a small mistake. I will double click and change it. Remember, we did that just the previous lecture. I have my text here. Now there is here a panel called Align. If you don't have it here, please go to Window, and it's the first one. Make sure you tick it and it comes over here and you arrange it within the menu. I want to align my text in the center. Of course, it's aligned in the center because my paragraph was in the center. And also I want to align it vertically in the center. So now it's very aligned. Then I want to create now a shape. I will take, for example, a rectangle. Click on the rectangle. I'm happy with the background. The fill is solid. The stroke is white and 5. Very happy with it. I just click and drag to create my rectangle. Fine, we have our shape. Now I will go to the selection tool. I could have pressed V also. And notice what's happening here. These layers, I will trail up this one. The shape layer is above the text layer. I want it under. So I'll click and drag and put it under. You notice the black line will allow me to put it anywhere I want. I'll put it under. Now I can see. Now also I want to align the shape layer in the middle of the composition. I have my align panel opened. Click here. That is align horizontal and align vertical. Fine. Now I want to create an animation. How do you start to animate? Well, it's pretty simple. I will take this one up so we can see here more. If you twirl down the arrow here, you will see text and transform. Remember, I told you transform is to transform the layer. And notice the layer here is selected. I will open transform. I can really animate the anchor point, the position. I can take it left, right. I will undo, up, down, anywhere I want. And of course I can do both of them. I will undo twice. Then there is the scale. You notice there is a chain link here. If I change one value, the other value also will change. So I will scale it. Of course, it's using the anchor point to scale. I will undo. If I remove the chain link, I can work on the horizontal scaling or even on the vertical scaling alone. Now notice I told you last time that when you come to character, if you scale your layer from here, you will be making changes. And these are the changes that you will be making. So please, when you're setting your font, don't use this one. Instead, use what you have in the character panel here. I will undo this one. Fine. Also, you can rotate your text, left, right, center, wherever. You know, it's rotating on the anchor point. And also, you can use opacity. You can make it completely transparent or completely opaque. We are going to use the position to animate. To initiate your animation or to start an animation, you need your first keyframe. To create your first keyframe, all you have to do is to click on the stopwatch. Now you see this is the current timeline indicator or the current time indicator. When you click on the stopwatch, it creates a keyframe on the timeline indicator. See how? What is a keyframe? A keyframe means that at this time, which is in the beginning now 0 0, you see the time is here and the time is here and the time is even here. You can see that it's changing here and of course where the timeline indicator is. The keyframe says that at this time I want the position to have these coordinates. This is the X and this is the Y, or this is horizontal and this is vertical. By putting a keyframe here, you're saying at this time ensure the coordinates are these values. Fine, but now I don't want this to start here at 0 0. I want to start down below. So I can edit this value or click on it and scrub it up or down. You notice it's changing value. Now what happens here, this keyframe means at this time 0 0, put my layer in this position down there. If I press spacebar and move up, okay, cool. Then you move your timeline indicator to a different time. Let's say 1 second. You notice it's 1 second here. And you say at this time I want to change the position. I want to take it up, for example. You can use this one. Okay, now it's almost in the center. Since my time indicator is on a keyframe, I can use the align and say align it center. Very nice, it was here. So what happens now? You can use the keyframe navigator for a certain property to move to the previous or the next keyframe. Cool. So you notice the first keyframe we said the layer is here. The second keyframe, the layer is here. What will After Effects do? It will just interpolate between the first keyframe and the second keyframe, and that will be your animation. You can come and run a RAM preview. First of all, let's make this one bigger and let's go to 100 to fit. That's okay. To run a RAM preview, I would like you to make sure that you have spacebar here, for example, but the range here, make it work area and 25 frames, and also we have several parameters here. Don't do full screen, just want to see it here, and leave the other one the way it is. Okay, we'll see them later on. Then maybe you want to stretch it in just to show, you know, enough. This is enough. So if you click on play, then it will play your animation. You notice it will play to the end of the composition and then comes back. Here you are. So now we created your first animation. Now let's look a bit what we have. We will stop this one and we bring it here. First of all, we have a kind of dotted line here. Let me see if I can zoom in nicely. Yeah, no problem. We have a kind of dotted line. The big dots, the squares, are the keyframes. You notice when I bring it here, it's on the keyframe. If I bring it down, it will be on the keyframe. Fine. In between there are the small dots, you will say, or the small circles. Each one of them is a frame. Notice the frames here. We said we have 25 frames per second. So I can move 1 frame, 2, and it will move on the frames. So on frame 11, it will be at the 11th dot here, and so on. So now you created your first animation using the keyframes, and of course it has created a motion path for us. This dotted line is the motion path. Fine. Now what we want to do is to create another animation for the rectangle. So what I want, after 1 minute, I want the rectangle to be in this position. True? So I will come to the shape layer. Instead of swelling down and opening position, I will just press P. And P will open the position. If I had pressed S, it will open scale. T, it will open opacity. A, it will open anchor point. All of them use the first letter except opacity, it uses T. So let's open P and say, okay, at this time, that is 1 second, I want the position of the rectangle to be here. You can click on the stopwatch to start or initiate the animation. And a keyframe is created for you at this time on the timeline indicator, and it will give this position. Fine. I go backward. At 0 0, where do I want my rectangle? Well, I want the rectangle to be on this side outside. So I can click on scrub it out. Fine. Of course, I could have just moved the rectangle, but I like doing like this very much. Now let's run a prime preview. Here you are, you have your first animation. Cool. So how do we start an animation? We start an animation, let me stop that. we start animation by clicking on the stopwatch. Then we move in the timeline in a different time. We set new values and a new keyframe is created for us. If we don't want to change the values, then naturally we can press on the diamond here and a keyframe is created. So of course this keyframe doesn't make any sense here because the values did not change. So now this is how you create your first animation. What I would like you to do is to go ahead, go to After Effects and start playing with it. Let me delete this one. Okay. Now this animation is too long, it's taking very long time. What I want to do is to change the position of the keyframe to shorten the time of the animation. To see all the keyframes for all the layers or the selected layers, I can select the layers by creating a lasso around them and press the shortcut U. When I press U, it's showing the position here. Actually, it's showing all the properties that have keyframes. If it is scale, opacity, it will show them all. So U will show you all the properties that have keyframes. Now, I want to shorten the time. So that's pretty easy. I'll create a lasso around the last two keyframes and click on one of them and just drag it back. Now, it will be very clever to put the timeline indicator where I want. That's okay, 12. And now my animation is speedier because the distance in between the two keyframes is much smaller. Let's run a ramp preview. Here you are. So please go to After Effects and start creating very simple animations. Let me show you what you can do more. You can come to one, select both layers. For example, we went to 1 second and move them somewhere else. Keyframes have been created. Let's come in the middle and move them over here. Keyframes have been created. I can move them somewhere else, and here we are, and even more. Bring them here, and then at the end, for example, I want to return them back, put them in the middle to return them to their initial position, and here you are. You have your animation. If you preview it, pressing play, cool. So there are plenty of games you can play just using simple stopwatch and changing the position value. You can get some interesting animations for now. You can also select all your keyframes, the one you don't want anymore, and press the delete key, and here they are gone. You are left only with the original one. This is Loai with you, and if you have any questions, I know this was very long, please post any questions that you have in the question and answer section in the dashboard of this course. Hey guys, this is Loai with you from aeschoolonline.com. Remember guys, I'm here to help you to become the expert you want to become in Adobe After Effects and create animations and stunning videos later on by the end of this course. In this lecture, we'll be creating simple animations, but we will train on how to create keyframes, how to manipulate keyframes within the timeline, and also how to manipulate our layers. If you downloaded the project file, within the folder course, you will find a composition called practice. Let's double click on best practice, and you will see that we have a simple animation that we want to create here. It's pretty simple, but we will learn how to manipulate the keyframes and also how to manipulate our layers. Fine. You can also open best practice where there is only the text and there is no animation, and you can follow through with me where you can focus on the animation and forget about laying out the text on the screen. But I have to start from the beginning, and I will lay out the text. I'll show you how it's done, and we will animate this together. First of all, let's go and close all. Now I will create a new composition. Notice that my selection here is inside the folder course. If I create a new composition, let's say call it comp 1 for now, and it's 5 seconds, that's okay. If I click OK, it will go inside the folder. You notice that because my selection was inside. Now, I don't want the composition to be inside the folder here. There are a couple of choices. You can click on it and drag it out at the bottom, but sometimes the bottom is not seen. You have too many things, so you can drag it up there. Here you are, and now it's out. And this is sorted alphabetically, of course. You can choose the sorting by clicking on the name. Let's rename it and call it practice. Let's create our shape. We click on the rectangle, we click and drag. We can use the space bar to adjust it. Okay, that's good adjustment. fine. And also if we click V, we go to our align, we can align it. You notice there is composition and selection here. To the composition in the center horizontally and in the center vertically. Fine. We can stretch it and make it a bit bigger. That's cool. Okay, now we want to put the text. We click on text. I will click here, and you notice I'm gonna copy the text from outside After Effects just to make it pretty speedy for you. Here you are. I will do for all of them pretty fast. Copy the text, choose the copy tool. So we have our text on the screen and just laid out in any way. Now I need to align this text. Let's look at our layers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. That's okay. So we want to select all these layers and align them left side and align them in the middle of the rectangle. First of all, let's set this one. This is the distance. This is the last one. And this is the distance I want from top, and this is the distance I want from bottom. To select all the layers here, or a series of layers, I can press on the last one or the first one I want to select, press shift and select the first one. Pretty easy. Let's go back to our align, and now we are aligning to the selection. I will align them left, then I will distribute them vertically. Here you are, they are perfectly distributed. Fine. So now we want to create our animation. How do we do that? Now this animation is based on position, so we need to open up position here. I will select all the layers, even the shape layer, and press P for position. You notice now all the position has opened. I need to initiate the animation. Let's say after 1 second, I want all these text and the graphic, the rectangle, to be in this position. So I will click on the stopwatch. Notice that for all the layers that have been selected, a keyframe has been created, and we can start now animating. I'll go back to 0, and from 0 here, I'll press F2 to deselect everything. And I want to select the first text, and this text is going to come from outside on the left side. I will select the text, click on it, and keep it clicked. Then I can move it outside, but notice it's going up and down with me. The best way to do it is to press Shift and then move. So first, you select your text, you click and keep it clicked, press Shift and move it to the other side. By pressing Shift, you will move straight, it will not go up and down. Click on the next layer, press Shift and take it on the other side. Click on the last layer, press Shift and take it to the outside. Let's see our animation now. Pretty cool. Let's say the rectangle now, we want to take it from up. We want it to come from up. I will click on it and press Shift and move it up. Cool. Now we have a nice animation coming in. Let's adjust it. If you play a RAM preview, you will notice that it's okay. Cool. Let's make it more interesting. Now these keyframes here I put them at 1 second. They're taking too long. I need to move them a bit further in the middle. For example, the rectangle even more. Cool. Now they're all coming faster. That's pretty nice. But I really don't like the way they're coming. I don't want them to come all together. I want the option 1 here, create a composition, to come first. Create text come second. So I need to move it. I can either move the keyframes that way or move the layer. For now, we are going to move the keyframes. I'll take the second one and move the keyframes here, for example. Take the last one and move the keyframes here. Cool. Now, let's look. Not bad. Cool. I need them to be faster. But now, how do I make them faster here? Because if I select, I'm going to select everything. I have no way to select diagonally. I will select them all, press Alternate, and click on the rightmost keyframe and drag them in. You notice now they are proportionally getting nearer to each other. Okay. Now, what happened? If you run the animation, they're becoming much faster. Still, the first layer, this is the rectangle, should come first, then the text should come after. So I need to delay the incoming of the text. For that, I can move the layers now, but I will select all of them, click and drag. And here you are. This is quite interesting. We learned a lot here. Now, let's say you don't like the timing here. What you want to do is to wait for this text to position itself and then let this text come in. Since the timing is okay for us here, we can manipulate the layers Here you are. And you play. You notice it's much better. Another choice, let's say you want the text to come in, wait for a few frames, then the other text will come, the next text will come. So you can take this one, push it there, and push it. So you're not manipulating the keyframes now, you are manipulating the layers. Let's run a ramp preview. I demonstrated to you lots of options. How to create the keyframes for many layers, how to move the keyframes in the timeline using selections or even individually, how to use the alternate key to move the keyframes proportionally to each other. Okay, thank you very much. And in the next lecture, we are going to tackle more complicated animation. Hi guys, hope you're doing well in this course. This is Loai with you from aeschoolonline.com. Now you are welcome to this course, and I am very excited to start building a full project with you. This is our first project. There are almost 12 projects in this course, if not more. And this one is about creating an animated poster. It's a poster that is animated. You will see these kind of animations all over the web. It could be a poster, it could be an ad, and it could be used as an introduction for a video. The most important here is not just to create the animations, is to learn how to create animation projects and what are the steps involved to get a project that is well organized and really easy to amend or easy to add more animations and more text or remove some if you want to. So I have here a simple 3-step method that I use myself that I will show you here. The first step here is to create the layout, meaning you will just lay out the text, the shapes and everything that you want to have in your posters. You will set the colors, the size of the characters, the size of the shapes if you want, and you are ready to animate. Of course, the next step will be to create the animations. But now you will create the animations by element, every element by itself. For example, I create for the coffee shop, always, and so on. Not taking care of the whole poster, just make sure that all the elements have their animations and the timing for each animation is pretty good. The last step is timing the layers. Now, of course, you don't want everything to pop just all together on the screen. What you want is to have a sequence here. This comes first, for example, the coffee shop, then always come, and in meantime, the circle is growing, and then you have meet you there at the end. So this is timing your layers and creating a sequence for your layers. So these are the most important steps in creating animations. So let's go ahead and start doing the layout or creating the layout. First of all, I will close this one, click outside, and I will create a new composition. I will call it, for example, layout. That's cool. 1280 by 720, this is our standard size, and duration 5 seconds will do. Okay, so I have a simple blank composition now. The first thing I want to do is to add the rectangle. I will click and drag the rectangle. Now remember the rectangle here, I want a white line. So actually what I can do is just to make it bigger. Yep, you position it so it comes outside. I need to change the colors. Let's change the colors to, you know, dark brown, something like this. It would be nice. For coffee, cool. So we want to write the text now. I will click and write the font is Papyrus. I already work on it, and 63 is too small. Let's make it 123, something like this. Fine, cool, that's okay. Let's put it down here. So this is fine with me. I will duplicate it, bring it down here, and change here to coffee, and then duplicate it again and change it to shop. Okay, now I take care of the layout. I will select the 3 of them, the first thing. Okay, let's make this one a bit more organized. Select the 3 of them, come to align them left. Let's see where we want going to put them. Okay, this is cool. Let me remove the snapping. Not bad, but the color we want it white first of all. Let's go and find the character, change the color to white for the 3 of them. Cool, we're done here. Fine, I will press alternate and zoom in here. So I want to write always here. I have the font set and so on, so I can duplicate this one, bring it here. It's too big. Let's make it, for example, only 96. Okay, something like this. I need to change the color. I will go back and pick the color from the background here. I will pick the color from here and change it. So I'll use the color picker. Okay, and make it brighter. That's cool. Take it up a bit or down. Yep. Okay, not bad. Nice color. Now I want to write always. So I will double click and write always. Fine. Let's go back to 100%. And then I need to do the meet you there because it's the same font. I will duplicate this one. I'll take it down and say meet you there. Meet you there. And this is big. Fine. What we will do is to reduce the font, for example, to 60. I'm saying a lot of time, for example, because you really can do what you want. Cool. Now I want to draw the circle. I will come to the circle tool, click in the middle here, Control and Shift, and open the circle. Fine. We don't want any fill, so we'll remove the fill. And then we want the pixel, for example, to be 20. The color is white. We're okay with it. Now inside here, we want to write a premium quality. So I'll take the text tool and write premium, and then Control Enter to exit. Click again, quality. Now these we want them to be uppercase, so choose both of them uppercase, and the font will be times because it's like somehow respectable, you know, it shows you quality. Okay, this is done. Now we want to align them here, and then we want to select all of them. Wait, there are the stars. Let's put the stars. Star here, I click and open. Okay, that's not exactly the star we want, so we remove to the stroke to 2, for example. That's cool. We change the fill color. Let's pick it from okay, let's pick it from the characters. You want to keep consistency and maybe make it a bit darker. That will do. Cool. Now I take care of the anchor point of the shape. Click on it, bring the anchor point just in the middle. I will use snapping, put on snapping, and then put it in the middle. Nice, cool. Okay, what else? I need to duplicate the star and take it down. That's very good. I will select all of them now, all these elements, come to align and align them center to the selection. Here you are, you're done. It's a very nice layout. You can now adjust it. Okay, now you can think about how I'm gonna animate it. Now, if you think how we want to animate it, we have to take care of the anchor points everywhere. We will do that in the next lecture. See you then. Hi guys, and welcome to this animation lecture. I'm very excited to show you how to animate in a certain way that is, practical, speedy, and will allow you a lot of change later on. Okay, so before I start animating, I want to look at my layers because they have all funny names. If I click on this one, this is star. I can put lower, or I call it star lower, and this one is star upper, right? Up, for example. Quality, premium, premium quality. So I'm going from down to top. So we have the shape layer here is background on the left. Cool. We have the coffee always. Let's take always above the meet you there, and we take the shop here. So we have the coffee shop, always meet you there here. This is the circle. Cool. And you have premium, quality, star, and so on. Cool. In this lecture, what you want to do is to animate each element. We want to animate the coffee shop, always, and so on. Fine. We will start by animating the coffee shop using rotation. Let me give you an overview of rotation first of all. Let's go to this composition I created. I put some text, and you notice the anchor point is in the middle. The rotation has two parameters. One is for full rotations, and the other parameter is for certain angles. If you scrub this, you click and scrub, you notice that it is rotating on the anchor point. If you change the anchor point position, it will rotate also on the anchor point, but now it's a totally different rotation. That's it about rotation mainly, and then it's up to you to create some nice designs using it. Let's investigate how we can use the full rotation. If you change the value here, it seems nothing happened. But let's create a keyframe in the beginning. Go to 1 second, for example, to see it slowly, and put back the value to 0. Let's run a RAM preview, or I can show you on slow motion how it works. So it went from 0 to full rotation, or from a full rotation to 0, and it rotates on himself according to the anchor point. If you change the position of the anchor point, of course, it's going to change totally the animation. Look what's going to happen. Okay, now the anchor point doesn't have to be within the text. It can be anywhere within the, the area, any area you want. To remove the keyframes here, that's a nice trick. All you have to do is to click on the stopwatch. You click on the stopwatch to start your first keyframe, and you click on the stopwatch to remove all the keyframes. Here they are gone. Now that I put the anchor point outside, let's see how is it going. You notice it's still rotating around the anchor point. And this is the way how to bring text from the outside and slam it in, for example. Fine, let's reset this to 0 also. And we go back to our layout. So the shop, I want the to rotate from outside. So I will take the anchor point and move it to the outside. I'll take coffee and move the anchor point to the outside. I'll take shop and move the anchor point to the outside. Now I have the coffee shop. I will select the 3 layers, press R for rotation, and I can start animating. Let's say after 12 frames, I want the coffee and shop to be at this position. So I will initiate by clicking on the stopwatch. You have 3 keyframes that have been created. I will go back to the beginning. I press F2 to deselect all of them. I want to work with D, so I will move the outside by scrubbing on the rotation. Here you are, it went out. Look at the rotation now, it's coming from the outside. Cool. Coffee, we can do the same, but let's take it from the other side, clockwise. And shop also, let's take it clockwise. Okay, here you are. Now you have the 3 coming in. Of course, we will adjust the layers later on and make it more interesting. Let's move to always. We are going to use the scale to animate always. Let me give you some examples of how scale works. I'll go to my some text. I'll take the anchor point and put it, for example, on the corner. Scale has a chain link that links the 2 values. Here, this is horizontal scaling and this is vertical scaling. If you keep the chain link, you can scale both of them, and you notice it's scaling on the anchor point. If you remove the chain link, you can scale horizontally or vertically. It depends on what you want. You can click reset to reset the text. It goes back to where it was created. Now I put back the chain link. If you change the position of the anchor point, then the scaling will be coming out, differently. Now if you take your anchor point and somehow put it outside, notice now the scaling is quite nice. It comes from the outside and seems like it's moving and scaling out. That's quite a nice animation where the text just passes through the screen. So this is how to use the scale. It's very easy, and you need to explore it because sometimes it can play some tricks on you. Okay, so always we want to use scale to animate it. I press the scale after choosing the always layer and go to the next keyframe. I can use the keyframe navigator. Keyframe here because I want it in that position after 12 frames, you notice here, and then go back to the beginning and give it 0. And notice how always is smoothly growing. If you run a play or a run preview, then you notice that it's cool, it's not bad. Fine. So coming over here, there are 2 keys I like always using. Is the J key that goes back 1 keyframe and the K that goes forward 1 keyframe. It's equivalent to the keyframe navigator here. I go back, I go forward, but J and K are nicer for me. Okay, let's animate now the circle. We take care of the anchor point. Let's put it in the middle. Cool. And let's animate the circle also using scale. I will press S. It opens the scale here. I will keyframe because at 12 frames I want it in that position. Come back in the beginning and make it 0. Now I want the circle to be a bit speedier in animation than the rest, so I will shorten the time in between the two keyframes, and now a circle, if you play, will go faster than the rest. Let's focus on premium and quality. I will zoom in, press alternate, and it will zoom in using the scroll mouse towards where you posted the mouse. Now I'll change the position of the anchor point. Let's put it in the middle here, and this one in the middle here. Cool. I will take quality and premium, press S, it opens both scales. Then I will go to the next keyframe using the K. Here you are. I will keyframe quality and premium using the stopwatch to start. Coming in the beginning, I want it to be 0. Look at our animation now. Not bad. The circle is growing pretty fast. I will press alternate and scroll down. Then I will choose the 2 stars. Let's have a variation here. We are going to animate them using rotation, so I press R. And also we are going to use the scale. So to get the scale with the rotation together, I will press Shift S, so it brings them up together. So I will keyframe. If I come to J, this is my 12 frames. I will keyframe the scale using the stopwatch and the rotation. Because both layers are chosen, then it's keyframing for both layers. I'll come in the beginning. Like we explained about the scale, we put it to 0, and rotation, we give them 1 full rotation. You notice both values are changing. So if you scroll now, you will notice that they are rotating and scaling up. Nice. Cool. So now we are left only with I meet you there. We are left with meet you there. We click on meet you there. We go to find it here. Let's use, for example, here position. Make it easy. We will go to the next keyframe at 12. Use the stopwatch to start it. Go back to the beginning and use the selection tool. Click and take it down. Here you are. Now let's play all our animation. Maybe we see it at fit. And we notice that we have animated almost everything. Now, all I want to ensure now, am I happy from all the animations? Are they speedy enough, each one of them? Well, I guess they're cool, all of them. If you notice, there is no crossing, no text coming above another text. But you notice that they are all coming at the same time. Now, I can start moving the keyframes here, but that will be too tedious and really will not give you a chance to change that later on. It will be quite complicated to go to the keyframes and start changing. So in the next lecture, we are going to learn how to time our layers, so we have, each one of them appearing at a certain time and changing the animation sequence. We'll see you then. Hi guys, I'm very excited to show you in this lecture how to manipulate the layers to be able to create some kind of sequence within your animation, and it's going to become quite good. First of all, let's make this one a bit bigger. I will select all my layers. I press Ctrl A and twirl it up. You see now they are all closed. Now let's look at our animation. Pretty fine. But now if you notice, let's start with coffee and shop. We want a coffee. These are the 3 layers here. We want coffee, the coffee shop. We want D to come first. Fine. Coffee to delay a bit, and shop to delay a bit more. If you notice, I'm moving the layers. So all you have to do is to click and drag the layer to bring it inside, and then each will delay in the time. If you choose the 3 layers, press U, you will notice now the keyframes are coming to the inside. Notice how it's happening now. It comes now. Let's delay more shop. Okay. And let's play the animation. Nice. You notice it's totally changing. Of course, I could play with the keyframes, but this is a better method. Now, if I want to make it faster, all I have to do is to change the keyframes. So notice, for the speed of the animation, I will use the keyframes. That's my method. If I want to delay the animation within the composition, then I will move the layers in and out the way I want it. So fine. This is done. Now, after it comes here, I don't want always to appear, at this level here. I want this to settle the coffee shop to settle, then always will start appearing. So I will go to always here, and I move the layer. I can press U and look at the keyframes and move the layers, and maybe make this one a bit faster to see exactly how it's going to go. You notice now the coffee shop always comes in. Nice, not bad. As soon as it's settled, always has come in. Yeah, I'll delete a bit. Now, after always is done, I want this circle to start growing as soon as always has been there. Now, meet you there is in the middle, but it's okay. I want the circle to start animating just when always is starting. So when it's at this point, I want the circle to start. So I'll move the circle here. And let's see. Not bad. Now, premium and quality have to come after the circle is almost halfway. Here. Display. Cool. Now, the stars, we are going to stay star 1 and star 2 and move them after the circle. Here you are. Not bad. We are left with the last one, meet you there. I'm gonna take meet you there and put it at the end. Let's see. Cool. So you see, without having a lot of trouble with the keyframes, we have animated and sequenced our animation in a certain way that now looks much nicer. Of course, here the options are tremendous, and what I would like you to do is to look at the animation now. You notice how the sequence affected the look of all the animation. Still, this meet you there is bothering me. It's in the middle. I'm gonna take it and put it on top. The reason is this is the last layer I'm animating. So the first layer I will animate is the background layer. Actually is not animated. Let's animate the background layer. I will open position or maybe scale and look at the anchor point where it is. Let's bring it to its corner. And after very few frames, let's say 6 frames, I want it to be here. I come here, and in the beginning I'll make it 0. So now it will appear. But it's not convenient because it's really over the coffee shop. Notice that's not good. So what I will do, I will select all the other layers and just move them a bit using the V, that is the selection tool from here. Let's see now our animation. Fine, cool. The last thing we want to do is to introduce the blur. Now this one will enable motion blur and will give you a totally different look, and it's really nice. So I will enable the blur in the composition, select all my layers that are already selected, and click on the blur. For one of them, it will give blur for all of them. Of course, I could have gone and clicked on each one of them. So this is how to set the blur. You first set it for all the layers, then set it for the composition. Notice now what's happening. It's giving a blur for the speedy animations. The coffee shop is blurred. Speedier gives you more blur. Let's watch this in full screen, and this is the final stage. I will come to the preview here and click on full screen and make sure I am at 100%. Come back here, stop the animation, go to the beginning and play on full screen. Here you are. That's the animation we have created together. Now the most important thing is for you to come back, take the same files and create your own animation with your own skills that you have learned now. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A section in the dashboard of this course. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next lecture where I will present for you your challenge. Hi guys, this is Loai with you from aeschoolonline.com. In this lecture, we will start creating your first video. We will use a simple method for now to create the first movie. It is very important for you to create that movie or that video because it will give you the satisfaction of your work. You will see exactly what's happening. You can upload it to Facebook, you can upload it to YouTube, for example, and show off with it. You know, you have done your first animation and your first video. Later on, it will be very nice. You'll feel great about it. To create our video, we choose a composition, or our main composition in our case is project 1, and we create a video from that composition. Of course, you don't create any videos from the project itself because the project has many compositions. So you choose your composition and you go to composition, and then you say add to render queue. That's the simple option. The most sophisticated option will be using the Adobe Media Encoder. That will come in this course, but later on it's an advanced feature and you need to download Adobe Media Encoder. So let's go to add to render queue. Now render queue will open within the timeline. You can also move it and open it anywhere you want, but in the timeline it will work. There are 3 options that you need to take care of. The best settings, that is the render settings, the output module or the lossless, and you will see how it works, and the output is where you want to save your video. Now we will go first and explore best settings. I will click on best settings. You will have the best settings dialog box open. So first of all, you have quality, which is of course you want to keep the best. Resolution for now, keep it to full unless you're doing some tests. And the disk cache is read only. All the parameters, there is nothing to change here for now. You want to take care of the time span. That is work area only. You can put it to length of comp. We didn't get there yet, but work area only for now will work. And leave all the other parameters as they are. That's okay. Even if you don't do any changes, it will change here custom best setting. We go now to the output module. We have lossless. We click, and this is the output module dialog box. So the format is AVI. This is because I'm working on Windows. If I were working on the Apple system, it will be QuickTime, the default. I will choose here QuickTime is better than AVI. AVI will give me too much information which I do not need, and only need that huge quality that AVI will present. Now channels, you can have RGB, alpha, that's transparency, or RGB and alpha, or RGB and transparent background, for example. Keep it to RGB for now. Leave depth and color to the same. We didn't use any videos here. So we go to format options. Now animation is the best that After Effects will produce, but it will give you huge files, very big files. But it's better to change to H.264. That will give you a smaller size. It will still be a .mov, or you can use MPEG-4. That will go also fine. And you notice also you have other options that you can use. You can really, explore them, like PNGs, photo JPEG, and even other ones. So PNG is quite good also. It will give you quite a good movie if you want to upload it in a small format. I will stick to H.264, and I want the best setting here, the basic video setting. I want it to be 100. Advanced settings, we don't need to be concerned about these ones. We click OK. Now coming here, there is nothing else you want to change. That's enough. So QuickTime, format H.264, and the spatial quality 100. Cool. We click OK, and then it will post and is ready to render. There is output 2. Let's go to our project files, and we say we want to create project 1, and it's a .mov. Fine. We click save, and we render. It will take few minutes because this is a very small movie to render. Look, it's running for me. It's pretty good, and it'll beep a bit. I don't know if I'm recording system sound, but maybe you heard it. It will beep. Now I have my own movie. I will go to my file explorer and open the movie. Here I am in the project file. I have my project 1, which is a .mov. I will just play the movie just for you to see. Let's close this one and see our creation. And here you are. It's playing now in VLC. It gave me some problem because of the 3 monitors, but nevertheless you can see your movie. You can go and play it, and it's only 5 seconds. It's quite cool. So please render or create your first video. It is very important you do that and get the satisfaction. You can also upload it on YouTube, send us a link, and I will share it with everybody so they can see your work. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, if you downloaded After Effects just recently and you haven't been working with QuickTime, you will find a problem that the H.264 codec does not exist in After Effects. Actually, it's not a problem of After Effects. It is a problem that the QuickTime drivers are not within your operating system. Of course, if you're using a Mac, you will not face this problem. But if you're using Windows, you might face this problem. Let's see how we can resolve it. If you come to Composition and you say Add to Render Queue, and you go to Lossless, and you decide I want to use QuickTime or any other format, you can go to Format Options, come to Animation, and you notice here many of the codecs do not exist, including H.264 and the JPEG 4000 and many others. So how to resolve this problem? This is a pretty easy problem to resolve. I'll close this Windows and even close After Effects. I don't want to save, and I will go to my browser. I can come to search for QuickTime download in Google, for example, and find the first one that appears, download QuickTime 7.9 from Apple. Click on it and ask to download. You will download the QuickTime installer and then you will install a QuickTime. So we'll wait for it to download and then we'll go through the installation together. Just a few seconds, we'll shorten the video and I will show you how it will appear in After Effects after that. It has finished downloading. I will just open and it will start installing. Here you are. Say next. That's very easy. Yes, we go typical and we say install. I'll just leave it to install wherever it wants to install. So now it has installed QuickTime. We say finish and let's go back to After Effects. We go to open our composition before, that is open recent, and we take the file. We have our composition and we want to render here in H.264 codec. We go to composition and say add to render queue, come to lossless. Let's put it to QuickTime, for example. That will be okay. Format, and we go to video codec, and here you are. You have H.264, JPEG, and all the rest that are needed. And this will solve your problem with H.264. If also you go now to the media encoder, you will find H.264 and many more also. Fine, thanks very much for listening. I hope this resolves your problem, and I hope you will render all your compositions and create exciting animations with After Effects. Hi guys, this is your challenge. And after listening to almost half hour of me talking and showing you how to do lots of animations, lots of tricks and tips, it is time for you to put your skills to practice. And it's very important. Please try to do this challenge. If it's not similar 100%, try to create something, but be consistent, create a whole animation. First, I'm going to show you a small trick here. I will click on the composition viewer. You see it's selected. Then I will press on the apostrophe or the tilde key above the tab or next to the one. Now the composition viewer will open to cover the whole workspace. Then I'll press spacebar to show you your animation or your challenge. Here you are, it's running. Now this is a simple challenge, but you need to remember how to do it. So the first step is to layout. The second step is to animate each one of them. And the third step is to sequence your layers. You notice company is coming first, then this line, and then the stars, then the other one. So this is your challenge. It's very important that you do it. It's very important that you do this exercise so you can cement your knowledge and get ahead and be able to learn even more in the next lectures. If you don't do this challenge, if you do not practice, then the next lectures will become pretty hard for you because you will have to cope with the new information, the new techniques, and cope with the old ones that you have taken now. So please do this challenge, practice, and I will see you later on in the next lecture. I will show you how this is done and we will be on the same page. Hi, this is Loai with you to resolve the challenge and show you exactly how you could have done it. So we're supposed to do something like this. We'll try to do as much as possible near it, but of course I'm not gonna get it 100%, but it's pretty easy. Let's look at it. I have my company, two lines coming in, one from top and one from the left, and then you have the text in. Cool. To do that, I'm gonna create a new composition. We will call it a challenge tut for tutorial, and we will start. So we click on text, we click and we write my company. The font is Antonio, but you can use any other font, that's no problem. Let's reduce the size, so I will pick it and reduce the size. That's cool. Fine. Now I want to draw the rectangle here. I will come to the rectangle tool, click and drag to create the rectangle. Here you are. Now, taking care of the anchor point immediately for the shape layer, I will take it and put it over here. That's cool. Now I like somehow the white lines. I will keep them. So I want to create the stars now. We go to shape layer, take the star tool, click and drag out. I press shift because I don't want it to rotate. Let's take care of the anchor point immediately. We click on the pen behind and we move the anchor point to the middle. Fine. I'm going to rename it star. Star 1 in fact, and I'm gonna duplicate star 1. Notice how the name is gonna change. It's gonna become star 2 and star 3. So I will take star 3 now and put it at the bottom. That's star 3. Take star through and put it here. Here you are. I want to align them. I will come to the align them on the left and distribute them according to selection. Cool, that's okay. Now I want to type in the text. I will choose the text tool, click and paste. You notice I have it from outside After Effects already. I will align it with the star. I will do the same for the next text. I will choose the text tool. I will click and paste it from outside. That's the next text. Align it with the star. Fine. I will do the third one also. Click and paste the text. So now I have my text and I have the stars here. I want to align the text. I will align it to the left. And also, if I can distribute it, it will be distributed nicely. Fine. Now I will take the line. Let's open here and see where is the line. So it's called shape layer 1. I will call it line 1 and duplicate it, Control D. Now I have line 2 just above it. And if I press shift, it will come exactly similar. Cool. All these ones, I want them a bit. All these ones, I want them a bit in the center. Okay, cool, we're done. Let's get this one here. Now we are done setting up our text. We want to do the animation. That's pretty easy. Select all my layers and drill them down so I can see exactly what I'm doing. I will start with my company. The anchor point is in the right place. I will press S. You see how it's jumped. I will come at let's say 12. Click on the stopwatch to initiate the animation. Go to the beginning, put it at 0. And I have my company coming in. Now the first line has to come from above. I press P. I go to 12 frames. In fact, this one should be quite speedy. I will click on the stopwatch to initiate the position. Come to the beginning, click, hold, press shift to go up straight, and it's okay. Here is it coming up, but we need to work here. Maybe this one should be quite speedy. So it comes before even the, yes, the company starts. Cool. Now I will take the 3 stars, open position and rotation. Go to my next keyframe. I will use K, and in position and rotation I will keyframe all of them at this time because this is where they end up, and then hold them, press shift and take them outside. That's pretty cool. Each one of them I give them a full rotation. Check all of them have the full rotation. You notice, and they're coming in while rotating. Now I will do the 3 text layers. Press P to open the position for the 3 text layers. Go to my previous keyframe at 12. You can see it. Press the stopwatch. It will create the startup keyframes. Come to the beginning, hold, shift, and take them all outside and see what's happening. Cool, but they are all coming together. Of course, we are going to work on this one. This is the last one. Let's open position, for example. Go to the last keyframe through the stopwatch, the first one, come to the beginning, hold, and maybe take it from the left side. So now I have the whole animation. Now let's look at it. Is it really the timing? Is it okay? Do we like the timing? Not bad. It's not speedy enough. It's speedy. Is okay. We take all our layers. select them all, scroll up, we can see them now. Gonna move it up like this. Let's see exactly how we want this to go. We want this line to come first, then company, want line 1 to come first, then company comes second. Okay, let's see the effect here. It comes down, it's growing up. We want company to start after the line has stabilized, for example. Something like this. Yes, the company will open. That's cool. When the company is about to finish, we want to get the stars in. There's 3 stars here. So what we will do is the first star will come first, then second star and third star. I will select the 3 of them and move them, you know, to the outside, let's say around here. So you see what's happening. The stars will come just with the company growing, something like this. I will take the 3 layers now, this one, move them to the outside. And of course, I want to do the same like for the stars here I've done. So I will move this one inside, or maybe I'll leave it here, then this one, and then this one. Let's see what we have achieved. The stars will come, the text will come, and then the last one here, that is line 2. Line 2 should come after the stars have, or the last user interface here have come in. Okay, from this side maybe I'll take it out. Yep. And here you are. It was pretty challenging. I know I did it very fast. Remember that I have done hundreds of thousands of them. So practice is very important. Practice is what will make you to become the master and really grow your skills. Now there is more to that. You can also start playing around with the opacity. So let's play now more with the opacity. For example, we can make this line coming in from above, but start to show in the middle. So I will take line 1. I will open position pressing P and Shift T to get the opacity. Come to the beginning here and keyframe the opacity at 0, and go to the next keyframe and keyframe opacity at 100%. You notice now the difference is like appearing, but you don't see it coming from above. Now you see it appearing and coming in. It's quite nice. Fine. Now there are a million tricks that you can play here, so you better come in and create this animation and do your best to change it. Do it better than I did, of course, and play with it. Change the wording. Instead of having my company, put something that is, you know, meaningful for you. Change from the yellow to a certain color that is also goes with your company. And you can put the other information, and instead of stars, maybe you decide to make circles, bullet points, and manufacture and create a whole new animation using only the simple position, scale, rotation, and opacity, and try out your skills. Thanks for listening. I will see you in the next section where we will tackle more important techniques and methods.